Okay, so I'm back. Part two. Optic reconstruction, comparison slide, incompetence are intentional. Ben Hart questioned harshly. Remember that? That's Rebecca Garcia lying. Yeah, so I think someone was in the car of Mr. Ramos. And that person in the car didn't stay in the car after he took off. That person in the car, and this was before the gunshots apparently, like that person got bruised up and basically exited the vehicle as the vehicle was taking off. Um, so yeah, bruises on my face. I was beat up, according supported perjury mentioned. Defense Exhibit 37, PC affidavit read from excerpt. He would not listen to your commands. There was nowhere for him to go. I got ready to jump out of the car. I scrapped my. Talking about the person that jumped out of the car. So apparently, the person in the car said there was nowhere for him to go. I scraped my knee jumping out. Another witness that apparently lied. Reasonable police officer. No gun does not matter. All of their nonsense. I think they're talking about. He's talking about the state. Distraction slide. Rifles. Switch from safe to fire of the other officers. They are already on fire. Straight movement before the vehicle turns right. 170 pieces of evidence on the state side. None of them include certain dash cams that showed another take. Because I gotta say, there is what we saw in the media, at least on YouTube up to this point. But there are lots of other videos that were captured that day. And some of them do look different. Some of them kind of show another perspective, another vantage point that kind of paints another picture for you. And one of them I remember, now I'm kind of going off track of what was actually being said here, but I'm going off of what I saw. And one of them was a video of, like, basically, in my mind, it looked like he had nowhere to go. Like, the only way out was through officers. And it kept driving. And you saw a bunch of officers back up and, like, scramble to get out of the way and get behind their cars. And there's also a video of when that happened. Christopher Taylor got into a different pose. It seems like, I don't know the exact timing per millisecond when this happened. It seemed like it was very close in time. When all those officers backed up, cars started moving, officers were scrambling to get out of the way. A lot of officers' guns went to fire, from safe to fire on their ARs. And then Christopher Taylor took up a more mounted position. It seemed like getting ready to fire. So let me get back to what Doug, in paraphrase, actually said. Distraction slide, 170 pieces of evidence. DA did not include the Taurus dash cam. I think that's the one. Well, I forget which one that is. I want to speculate. Officers don't have to wait to be shot before they have to protect themselves, or shouldn't have to. Like Ramos was high on cocaine, meth, and bath salts. He went over Article 2.01, Texas statute something. Duties of the DA. It seemed like the DA suppressed facts and witnesses. You deserve some answers, talking to the jury. A lot of your time was wasted. The state should have answers for these things when they get back up, and paraphrase. This whole case was a political prosecution from the very beginning. And I'm surprised the state didn't object to that. But they were allowed to say it. They must have did it in limine. And I bet that was a fight. That could have been a fight. They had it in limine. Sidebar, when jury's not present. So I'm curious to see what the transcript looks like for that. if and it's basically the O'Connell saying, if you convict them, you can expect officers to be hesitant on their next call now. So they're gonna second guess everything. Then O'Connell finished. The next up was Ken. Man is not in the courtroom today. Mr. Ramos is a human being. Ken is on the defense side. His life is important. We have to acknowledge his contribution to what happened. For Christopher Taylor, a decision had to be made. That was his job. I sat at the prosecution table before. Someone said something about incredulous. This is incredulous. There's so much more with what goes on. There are 16 jurors. Vehicle goes straight. There's a lie mentioned about the vehicle. Right to the right, straight. Vehicle slide K9 body cam. Wanted you to hear the... Yeah, so apparently the state played this body cam of a K9 that it had nothing to do with the shots of this incident. Well, I mean, I guess it did, but that maybe it was close in proximity somewhat, but it didn't really have in framing this incident. It was most of what you got from it was a K9 body cam of a dog going around and stuff. But it seemed like they wanted you to hear, and this is what the defense seemed to be arguing. You could judge for yourself. It seemed like the state wanted them to hear the commotion and the people mad at the police and stuff like that, and how it seemed unreasonable to these people. That's what they seem to want to let in. 4 out of the 7 police officers testified on the state side. What they are trying to hide from you. State mentioned other testimony that officers turned off their body cams because they were hiding things. Mr. Cobb is very good at making people uncomfortable. But apparently the body cam that they showed, or sorry, they made a scene. It appears that the state was saying that the police officers were hiding things, but then they showed the body cam of what they thought that the state was insinuating that they were hiding, and it was like very boring stuff, like officers talking about mundane things. They're like, and Ken said, evidence that does not matter. Multiple views of direction of the previous videos. One large video of the car moving forward. Vehicle trajectory possibility slide. State expert Seth Slowdorf. Ramos view, minivan blocked. Gun expert. Excerpt. This is what Officer Taylor brings to work. ER in hand. They had a sidebar. You actually have more time with the judge. So you copy of Taylor's statement. Large rock and grassy area. Slide of Taylor with his gun. There's the Christopher Taylor changed position video he did. Rebecca Garcia bailed out of the car. Was the suicide by cop? Probably not. But it seems like this is suicide by cop. I was a little confused. I think he just stumbled all over his own words there a little bit. A video of other officers running back from the car when it started moving. It's like a dash cam video of a police vehicle way in the back. And it showed like all the officers from the officer's standpoint and how they all kind of just went away from the car as it was moving. Do you believe that they were in danger? That means that was reasonable for him to think so too. For him to flee, that means he would have to crash through police officers. And it does look like that. I will say in my own words, it does look like that. That's what it sounds like. Um, I don't know how much of a escape route him driving to the right was from his, Michael Ramos's perspective. Maybe it was. But if it isn't, I mean, the only way out was crashing through vehicles and possibly through officers. And what if he didn't shoot? Hypothetical. DA's office, they'll think of something. Other charges would have occurred. The way out is through police officers. What matters is Officer Taylor's perception and his reasonable belief in his mind's eye. Reaction time. View from the radical video showed the view of what Christopher Taylor would have seen, and it's a very narrow view. It's basically through his reticle, and it, you know, like 2 or 3 degree field of view perspective or something. He's saying that I think he was mentioning the perspective of other officers. I'm going to be second guessed. We're going to be adding another layer to what officers are going to have to think about. Mentions what other officers think if they make a make a guilty verdict. Then they did research before, came back from recess. The judge was pissed. Told everyone to stay off their phones, including attorneys. You can't make this shit up. That happened. I don't know what happened that caused the judge to do that, but I guess someone was on their phone doing something. So this, I think, is when actually Cobb started. He talks about the arc of the moral universe slide at the JFK speech, historical shooting that happened in 1963, a hung jury of 12 white men. But finally, this guy who shot someone in 1963 was convicted in 1994. They talked about change and how change now is a body cam diversity of the jury. Told everybody committed the murder, talking about this murder that happened in 1963. Nothing in that jury charge says that if you are a bad person, you can get away with murder. Or something that if there's a bad person, you can get away with murder, killing that bad person. Talking about evil people or marginalized people, quote unquote evil people. Nobody would ever believe him. They said, I planned on fleeing and running away. It's everybody's word against the officers, I think. The arc of the moral universe, but it bends towards justice. That's what we are asking you to decide in this case. When he made up his mind to shoot, everything stopped. Pair excerpts from somewhere. I am afraid of your guns. Ramos' statement. That was, I think, a video that was played. The PowerPoint went black. Cobb is improvising after this. After the video goes black, and I wrote down he's improvising quite well. We cannot find him guilty if he did not meant to kill him. This is how afraid they are of this man. Handcuffed a shot man. They showed a video that was a little less flattering of Christopher Taylor. Showed the Tavon video. It takes courage to come to court in this marginalized community. And they showed So I don't have no fucking gun, what Ramos said. I showed a video of people saying they're gonna fucking shoot you. Witness. Officer Jones. Be on the lookout of Ramos. The computer-aided dispatch report. No info Ramos was violent. No law about waving your gun out the window. But as you're showing that cat report, I saw in the cat report it said that he was holding a gun up. That's something that I noticed while he was talking about that. But, you know, begs the question, should officers listen to that cat report? So, I mean, you can take it either way, right? Talk about this Verizon specialized unit. Monitors malfunctioning in the background. I wrote down, and it was flickering. That thing was going berserk. That thing was dying. You know, someone said that TV burned out. What the heck? Why are these things? Man, they need better stuff in this courthouse, man. They need a better courthouse. Did not see anyone's life in danger. I think that's what Officer Hart said. They show a video of them staging. Said that Christopher Taylor seemed careless and blocking, or sorry, seemed completely careless and planning the approach when they were staging. Talking about blocking the entrance, get your rifles ready. Okay, I can't make out that. He's talking about how they think they're violent. He's a violent person. That's an absolute lie. Statement given by with the help of his attorneys, absolute important lie. Color diagram of the scene slide. Johnson recreation slide. It was Ramos's greatest fear that the police would put a bullet in his head. So looking for an escape route. Like the south to the north side. Bird's eye view. Slide was shown. Does not seem to show all the positions of the Ramos as does seem to be in. Yeah, so apparently this slide there's some contention about placement of the vehicles. The defense argued that everything was correct except for the placement of the videos and the movement of the videos according to time. Apparently that wasn't, according to the defense, that was not completely accurate, and it seemed a little suspect or just misleading, or it was error, I don't know. He has already decided he was going to take this shot. Show the video. Okay, get ready to move up. He goes over a statement of Christopher Taylor, Mr. King, quirky genius slide. So there's some witness he's talking about, Mr. Gideon. I think that was on the defense side. He calls him a quirky genius. This defendant was focused on one thing. Goal was to kill Michael Ramos. They are trying to scare you, with officers second guessing themselves. This case is not about APD. This case is about this defendant. Show the community that you value the life of Michael Ramos. Told his time's up. He asked if he could wrap up. The judge said sure. Show everyone that you are willing to be a part of the arc of the moral universe. I think that's what he said. Paraphrase. Might have been slightly different semantics. So yeah, closing arguments for Taylor trial. Quite a bit going on there. This is up for debate whether he's guilty or not, and it's going to be given to 16 people, well, 12 people, four alternates. There's a lot of stuff that happened in that trial. I wish I could get with some people to share costs in getting a copy of the transcript so everyone can see for themselves what happened in that, or at least transcript version of what happened in that trial. I wish it was, recorded it or web streamed in a responsible manner, but it wasn't. So there's that. So everyone could judge for themselves what they think. I wasn't there for the entire weeks, but I gotta say, with closing arguments, it's a tough one, I'm also thinking about what the jury's thinking. What if they think he's not guilty, but they know everyone and their mom's gonna think he's guilty, and they have to go back to their families and, well, how do you go back to your family when it seems as clear as day this guy's guilty from one body cam video? But when you look at everything in totality of a trial, and if they came to the conclusion that he's not guilty, it's a hard thing to stick to your guns on that when you have to go back to your family who's going to hate that. It's a very polarizing case. It's been in the news. A lot of people are going to have different opinions on it. So you just hope that anyone that comes to trial gets a fair trial, and that if someone was guilty of murder, that the state would prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt that he is guilty of murder, and that there are no, it's not in any capacity an excusable murder or a reasonable homicide. So I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, and I don't really want to take a side because that's too political to me. It'd be interesting to see how the jury rules. I think they could rule by day 2, but I could be totally wrong. There's no telling how long this could take. This could take a while. It could be a hung jury for all I know. The jury does seem like a very diverse jury. I will give them that. The first trial where there was a mistrial, I think there was like a lot. It seemed less diverse to me. Maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, but this jury is pretty diverse. So I hope the jury is not watching this because that's improper. But I hope that the jury makes the decision they think is proper. So yeah.